Ice Cube sits down for an interview with former Fox host Tucker Carlson, and Black Hollywood is not having it. Yay, yay! Today was not a good day. Let's go. Wash kalash. Chicken kalash. Wash kalash. Chicken kalash. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rogan. This is This Bahamian Gyal. Let's jump right in. Ice Cube and Tucker Carlson, the former Fox News host. Two men you wouldn't ordinarily put in the same category, the same room, the same conversation, but that's what happened recently when Ice Cube went on Tucker Carlson's Twitter show to have a conversation about his, well, everything. His meeting with Donald Trump, his stance on the vaccine, how he's lost, $9 million in one roll because he refused to get the vaccine. What a conversation it was, and I want to get into it with this reaction video. Now, during the interview, Ice Cube dropped a number of bombshells. One of the things he talked about is being banned from certain shows like The View and Oprah Winfrey. In the aftermath of that interview, Erica Alexander, you all know her as Max the Maverick from Living Single in the, what was that, 90s? And D.L. Hewley, comedian, talk show host, they both had a lot to say about Ice Cube's appearance on Tucker Carlson's show. And they weren't the only ones. There were a lot of people in the Twitter comment section on social media that were really upset by the fact that he went on Tucker Carlson's show. One of the things that I say on this channel, and I will continue to say it for the life of this channel, is that I like when folks decide to go into uncharted territory or go into the enemy's camp, so to speak, right? The enemy's camp. There are a lot of people who despise Tucker Carlson. They don't like him, but the man is a ratings juggernaut. And not only that, let's keep in mind the fact that Ice Cube said that he was not invited to The View, or he was invited at one point and disinvited later on because the producers said the host had a problem and they didn't name which host had a problem with his appearance. And Oprah Winfrey has basically refused, according to Ice Cube, to have him on her show. But like I was saying earlier, I love when people can go into uncharted territory to have conversations. I think it's the mature thing to do. You don't want to become like these folks who just stay in this echo chamber where they only associate with people who share their thoughts and their sentiments. So I love the fact that he went on to Tucker Carlson's show, and he's been doing the rounds. He's been making the rounds. He's went on Piers Morgan's show, to The View. You know, I don't doubt for one second that maybe the hosts did not want Ice Cube on there, but he shouldn't even feel bad about it because those ladies, they are so immature, it's insane. And had he gone on that panel, I am more than certain that one of them, because they always seem to do this, would have walked off of the set like petulant children, like they always do. So he should be grateful that The View doesn't want him on anymore. And as it relates to Oprah Winfrey not having him on the show, I don't even understand that part, because Oprah Winfrey, we don't know at this point why she hasn't had him on, and she and her team will never reveal that. But I know that Oprah has had issues with a lot of rappers in the past and their quote unquote misogynistic lyrics. Ice Cube has always been that guy, like he can be quite irreverent, but he's an independent thinker. He speaks his mind and he doesn't care about the consequences. He's just straight up. But Oprah Winfrey, if that is the case and she didn't want to have him on the show, I don't understand that, because I remember several years ago, she had rapper 50 Cent on the show, which was a great episode, by the way. And 50 Cent was a guy who named his dog Oprah. I would think that, it doesn't get more disrespectful than that. It doesn't get more disrespectful than that. And she still had him on the show and she confronted him about it. But I would think if you would have someone like 50 Cent, who, his messaging is no different from Ice Cube's, that, you wouldn't have any of them on, I always say, keep the same energy. Of course, Ice Cube has also spoken about not wanting to be vaccinated. And I think a lot of people were really upset about that. Listen, I support vaccines. I've been getting immunized from I was a child. I've had the COVID vaccine. I was happy to go and get it because I didn't want to get sick, still got sick, but probably wasn't as bad as it could have been. And I will say this, and I said this back then, I'll say it today. People reserve the right to determine what they want to do with their bodies, right? So when we have that conversation, I know this is going to be going kind of to the left, like when we talk about abortion, people say, it's my body, it's my choice, it's my right. Well, let's keep that energy across the board for when people decide that they don't want a vaccine that for them was rushed. And I think people need to respect people's decision to not want it. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for me, I wanted to get it and I have autonomy over my body. So I went and I got it. So I don't know why people would be upset with Ice Cube for that. But okay, so let's just take a listen. Let's just start some reaction to this video because I thought it was an excellent interview. I thought, well, let me say this. I thought the questions were a little too easy. I would have wanted Tucker to press a little bit more, but it was still excellent in the sense that he got him. And I liked what, what's his name? What Ice Cube had to say. So if I'm looking over here, guys, it's only because I'm looking at my monitor. So let's take a listen and do some reaction. Let's see what Tucker has to say right here.
So why would you be doing this of all interviews? I mean, you could do an interview with anyone. You're doing an interview with me. Obviously, you're going to take abuse for doing that. Like, why would you do that?
Because I think it's silly not to talk to people. I think whether we agree or not,
right?
That has nothing to do with it. You know, it's like, this is what it's all about. Let's talk about it. Let's debate. And you know, I've been shut out.
Wait, that sounds like right-wing extremism and whataboutism.
But I've been shut out. You know, some platforms will not have me on.
Why?
They don't like that I'm, you know, an independent thinker. I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, you know, I'm an outsider. And so, you know, I'm not part of the club.
You know, I loved the way that this interview opened up with everything that Ice Cube said about being an independent thinker and an outsider. There is such great freedom in being an outsider. I can so relate to that. I loved what he said earlier about, you know, I think it's kind of silly not to go on these platforms. Again, to the point that I made, I don't know if I made it earlier or not, I was just thinking it, but you remember in that video what I did with Ramaswamy, and I talked about him being a GOP candidate and his decision to go into Chicago, even though the state of Illinois had voted for the Democratic Party for so many years. And the fact that he went on The Breakfast Club, which is very left-leaning, I love that. And I wish that people would be more willing to just kind of go into, again, uncharted territory. But I mean, he just opened up so well, and I really appreciated that. I love the fact that, and Ice Cube, if you know his history, he has always been an independent thinker and an outspoken person. So I don't even know why people are surprised. And so I really love the way this opened up. So let's just keep going.
So I have to go places for one that I'm welcome, and where I can voice my opinion without somebody, you know, saying I'm a bad person and that they never want to have me on their platform again.
What platforms have banned you?
I've been, you know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from.
The hosts.
Or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. You know, I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but...
You'd be a good booking for them.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I've, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded. Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central, you were successful at a young age, you have dignity, you say what you think. Like, I thought that was the goal.
Me too. You know, I don't know what it is, but, you know, several of my, you know, I had a movie called Barbershop, you know.
Yeah, I remember.
That I wasn't invited to participate with the cast. I produced a show called Black White, and it was a very controversial show. And once again, they had the whole cast on, but I wasn't invited. And so I don't know.
On Oprah's show.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's.
But Oprah's obviously a
let me stop right here. I mean, I don't know how much more obvious anyone could be. Like, how do you have someone, have his show and you just exclude that one person? You have an entire cast come over. I would think it would be smarter to have that. Like, if you have an issue with the person, wouldn't it be smarter to have them come on, have the conversation about barbershop, and then kind of grill them on their viewpoints? Because you might learn something. You might learn something during that conversation that you may have been mistaken about, or you just gain greater understanding about it. But just to exclude someone, Hollywood is dangerous, man. Like, they'll shut you down with the quickness. The blacklisting is real. Let's go.
But Oprah's obviously a saintly, godlike figure who's revered by all decent people.
Tucker is the biggest troll, I swear. This is too funny. I had to interject with that one.
Why would she exclude you?
I really don't know. That's something that I would love to find out. But I can't tell you, if there's a single thing that I've done or said to her.
Have you noticed that it is more controversial to criticize Oprah than to burn the American flag?
Really?
Seems that way. I've never heard anybody criticize Oprah.
Tucker, you need to tune into Black News because one Monique, hey, Miss Parker, has been criticizing Oprah Winfrey for years in the wildest way. So no, Tucker, do your little research, Tucker. One of the criticisms that I've heard, and I'm sure you all have heard too, they came from like a D.L. Hewley. I want to read a little bit. Hold on one second. Let me just pull this up. I don't know why I didn't have this at the ready. But D.L. Hewley and again, Erica Alexander from Living Single fame all but called this man a sellout for what he did. And I was really disappointed, especially in DL. I haven't heard from Erica Alexander in a long time. I mean, but I understand that she is involved in politics and she is a liberal. And nothing wrong with that. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't understand why it always seems that every time a Black person speaks their mind, and it might be contrary to popular belief or whatever, there's always this attack mode that we launch into where we call someone a sellout. Oh, they're a sellout, or they're an Uncle Tom. I hate when people say that stuff. Just because they have a difference of opinion. We always say that, oh, Black people are not a monolith. They're not a monolith. We're not a monolithic group. We don't all think the same. We don't all act the same. I wish people would stop that. But every time that seems like there's a Black person who kind of steps out of line or starts to express different views, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're a sellout. You're an Uncle Tom. I don't like that. I applaud Ice Cube for going on this show, just like I applauded Steve Harvey back in the day when he decided to go and meet with Donald Trump after his election. And oh my God, the Black community wanted to destroy him for going. You can hate Trump all you want, but I think when you are invited by someone who is now the president of the United States, and I think he was just the president-elect because it was so fresh, and Steve Harvey spoke very candidly about why he went, but it didn't matter. People were really, really pissed off about it. And I think out of respect for the office of the President of the United States, you do go when you are summoned. And I think it's just immature to think like, oh, well, he going to meet with Trump. Like, what do you think he was going there to do? Like sign some treaty to enslave Black folks? I mean, the man went there to talk. Again, we need to get out of this mindset that just having a conversation means like we're endorsing someone. No, you can go and you can sit down. Ice Cube at the end of the day may decide he still doesn't like Tucker Carlson. I don't know if he likes him or not, but he might decide I don't like this cat, but I'm gonna use his platform to get my message out. A man has to make a decision for himself, and we're not always going to do things that people agree with. I get it. D.L. Hewley, for example, several years ago went on Megyn Kelly's show, and he was criticized for going on her show. Like, what are you doing on this Fox show with Megyn Kelly? We hate Megyn Kelly. But he went on the Megyn Kelly show anyway, and they got into a bit of, a spat on air. And I believe he was promoting a book or something at the time. Also, I remember D.L. Hewley was criticized for wanting to go out on tour with Monique. And this was after Monique had said the nastiest, most vile things about Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels. And people were like, she spoke terribly about Steve Harvey, and people were like, and you're going to go out with this girl? How do you think this is going to end up? And you saw how it ended up. She said the most vile things about D.L. Hewley, but you know what? And he said he should have listened. But the fact of the matter is you had to make the decision for yourself. And I applaud you for making the decision for yourself, because guess what? Monique might not have reacted that way to you. Was the likelihood that she wouldn't have? I don't know. But the fact is you made that decision for yourself. And Ice Cube had to make the decision for himself to go on a show like this. And I don't think people should be so quick to criticize him for doing so, especially when he's been banned from going on so many other shows. He shouldn't feel any weight about not being invited on The View. The View is not the way it used to be when Barbara Walters was alive. I just feel like it's become this toxic cesspool of clucking all day. And it's sad. It's sad that that's what the legacy of The View has become. And for those folks who are saying, oh, he's a Trump supporter, Ice Cube addressed that in this interview with Tucker Carlson.
Do you think it's political, or do you think it's deeper than that? I mean, you're not like a right winger.
No.
No. You don't even seem that political.
No, I'm not really. I'm pretty much, just want to do right by the people, So if that comes through political means, that comes through the private sector, wherever it comes, I'm down to work with whoever's down to do something right for the people.
So I remember reading you say something along the lines of, I didn't vote for Trump, I'm not a Trump voter. You actually attacked Trump at one point, but you were willing to meet with Trump. Do you think that crossed a line?
I think some people didn't like that, but I think it's idiotic. Enemies meet.
Right.
They talk. I'm pretty sure there's some communication between Russia and the Ukraine right now. Somebody's on the phone talking to somebody, trying to come up with a solution. So we just got to talk. That's the only way we're going to work this out. I know when the talking stops, the fighting starts. A lot of people, they, think I'm a, Republican. I'm a right winger. Just because I was willing to speak to the Trump administration, and I was willing to speak with the Biden administration as well,
Have you?
One guy in the administration, but it didn't go anywhere. It was basically a, take my temperature kind of call. We'll get to it, but they never got to it or never planned to.
I want to jump in and say something here. Kamala Harris had invited Ice Cube and several other entertainers, black entertainers, to a Zoom call. I believe D.L. Hewley was one of those entertainers that was invited, as well as Snoop Dogg and several other people. And Ice Cube turned it down, and he was criticized for that. And he said that the reason he turned it down was because he didn't think it was going to be a productive meeting. But I think he probably was like, you know what, I'm not going to be just one of 15 people trying to get my voice heard. But he was invited by Kamala Harris to a conversation. One of the things that Ice Cube also talked about, the minute someone meets with whomever, it could be a Democrat, it could be a Republican, they're immediately labeled as that. Even here on this channel, I did one video talking about how I enjoyed Vivek Ramaswamy's contribution and the way he's going about things. And all of a sudden, people just labeled me a Republican when I'm more apolitical than anything. And, I call it as I see it. If the Democrats are doing something that's incredible, I will say so. If they're doing something that I absolutely detest, I will say so. If the Republicans are doing something that's great, I will say so. And if they're doing something I detest, I will also shout it from the mountaintops. That's the way it should be. But, people pick their sides and they stay there. Like I said, I do love the fact that Ice Cube is very much an independent thinker. I am so drawn to people who have their own mindsets. Do I agree with everything that he says and does? No, of course. Who the heck agrees with what somebody says entirely, 100%? No. But I really enjoyed this interview, and there are lots of people who dismiss this interview as garbage and saying that he met with a racist, and he had a conversation with a host. And yes, you may have your viewpoints about Ice Cube, you may have your viewpoints about Tucker Carlson, but I really enjoyed the interview, and I thought people, not all of them, because there were people who absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and I thought he handled himself well. Like I said, I would have liked for Tucker to press him a little bit more on some items, but I think for the most part, I really enjoyed what he had to say. So my question of the day is, do you think that Ice Cube was wrong for going on Tucker Carlson's show? As you heard earlier, Ice Cube said that he has not been invited to many other shows. He's been disinvited and blocked and blacklisted, it seems. I'm sure his pockets are taking a pounding because of it. But how do you feel about his decision to go on the show? Do you look at him as an independent thinker who will do what he wants, or do you look at him as a sellout who went into enemy territory? Let me know down below. Anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and of course, turn on the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a video every Wednesday. I'm toying with the idea of increasing the number of videos that I put out in a week, but your girl is busy, so I don't even know how I'm going to be able to do that. But I definitely, there's so many things that I want to weigh in on, and like for this video, this came out like last week after my last video came out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so late with this video, but better late than never. So I'm toying with that idea, but I have to find the time. And I also want to send a shout out to one of my subscribers, Jasmine Elise. I saw her in Virginia over the weekend. It was so funny. But she was so sweet and so kind. So it was such a pleasure meeting you, Jasmine. We were in the Home Goods, y'all. Y'all know I like my Home Sense and Home Goods and all my little shops where I could get things on the low. So shout out to you, Jasmine, and I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Bye. I love you. Mwah.